Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ Live here on Facebook.com. I am doing the video live on Facebook. It will be available on demand at NoDQ's YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift.NoDQ. Thank you all for tuning in live and also watching on demand. We'll see how many people show up here in a few minutes. Today I will be talking about WrestleMania. I would like to address the current storyline with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, and how does Luke Harper fit into this? Here's my question to you guys, for those of you tuning in live. Should Luke Harper be added to the WWE title match at WrestleMania? Should it be a triple threat? I posted a poll on NoDQ.com, and right now, that is the match that people want to see. They want to see a triple threat. Yes, WWE has been building up Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton for several months, but it really feels like Luke Harper fits into this storyline, and I think a triple threat match is actually more intriguing than a one-on-one match. That's just my opinion, at least, and it seems to be the general consensus. Usually I like the idea more of a one-on-one match, but I feel in this case a triple threat match would be more fitting. Roger says, yes, 100%. John says, I would love to see it. I think it would add something to it. Aaron Strode says, no singles match. Wyatt versus Harper. So there are some different opinions on it. Some different ideas. Some people feel AJ Styles should be in the WWE title match. But let's face it, this Orton-Wyatt storyline has been going on for a long time. That has the most build-up heading into WrestleMania, and I'm fine with the WWE title match being based around the Wyatts and Randy Orton. So another topic I wanted to talk about today is WrestleMania, and I was thinking about asking you guys about WrestleMania moments that have been largely forgotten about. Yes, we all think about the classic WrestleMania moments, like Hogan slamming Andre, The Undertaker's streak ending, the TLC matches, Hulk Hogan making his big comeback at WrestleMania. But what are some really memorable WrestleMania moments that you feel fans have forgotten about? Some hidden gems in WrestleMania history. So that's what I'm looking for from you guys on the Facebook chat. Leave your comments. Matt says Hogan pinning Yokozuna. I'm not sure if I would consider that to be a hidden gem, a classic forgotten WrestleMania moment. I mean, that was the main event segment. Todd says DX versus NWO WrestleMania 31. Charlie says Hogan saving Eugene at WrestleMania 21. I really like that moment. That was an awesome WrestleMania moment. I would consider that one to be a really strong WrestleMania moment that people forgot about. Matt says Steamboat versus Savage. Yeah, right. Matt says the ending of WrestleMania 10. Cody says, I think Undertaker versus Edge at WrestleMania 24 is pretty underrated. I always thought that was just a good Undertaker match. I never considered that to be one of the top Undertaker WrestleMania matches, but a lot of people did like that match. I mean, it was a match that a lot of fans felt was a very strong Undertaker match. I thought it was just okay. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion on it. And regarding DX and NWO at WrestleMania 31, to me that was a really cool moment watching live, but watching it back on television, it really made no sense whatsoever. It was just doing DX versus NWO just for the sake of doing it. And to me, that match, Sting versus Triple H, has very little replay value. I actually really despised the match watching it on television and hearing the commentary. Fandango beating Y2J. Yeah, right. I mean, that was just one of the biggest wastes of having Jericho put over somebody, I think, in WrestleMania history. Miguel says the first meeting between Kane and The Undertaker, that was a really good build-up. I mean, that was a solid match, and yeah, the build-up was tremendous for it. Was it a hidden gem of WrestleMania? Oh, Matt says Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. That one I totally agree on. I feel like that one is somewhat forgotten in history, but to me that was a match that really put Bret Hart's career on the map. And think about it, Roddy Piper almost never put over anybody. To have Roddy Piper do a clean job to you at WrestleMania, that is something that's huge. And back then that really meant something. For Piper to put over Bret Hart, that was really a significant moment. Matt says Ryder winning the IC title. Don't even mention that. I had to shave my head because of that SOB winning at WrestleMania. And then he blocked me. After I shaved my head, he blocked me on Twitter. So screw Zack Ryder. Rockers versus Haku and Barbarian, WrestleMania 7. That's a good one. I mean, that was a very solid match. And the Rockers always had solid matches at WrestleMania. That's definitely a match that is more forgotten about. Hogan versus Vince McMahon. I would agree. That was a huge WrestleMania match. And I feel like that match doesn't get enough recognition. I mean, maybe because the pay-per-view buy rate was disappointing, but Hogan and McMahon, that was several years, I mean, even decades in the making. Joey says Jake the Snake versus George Wells from WrestleMania 2. I mean, the commentary, what was her name? I forgot her name, but the woman celebrity doing the commentary. I mean, she was so bad, but she was entertaining when George Steele was coming out there. I mean, I tend to remember that more than the Jake Roberts match. Jack says Flair versus Undertaker. That is definitely one of the more underrated Undertaker matches, in my opinion. And from what I remember, that was the first Undertaker match where they really made a big deal out of mentioning the streak. And Undertaker specifically held up the 10 fingers to signal that he had his 10th win at that year's WrestleMania. Brittany says Jericho versus the Legends. Steamboat looked great for his age. Yeah, that was a good segment. I mean, that was probably, in my opinion, the most entertaining segment on WrestleMania besides Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. I think Undertaker and Shawn Michaels was such a good match, and a lot of the rest of the card was very underwhelming. But I will say it was interesting to have Mickey Rourke out there and the Legends, Ricky Steamboat being in good shape. So it was nice to see Steamboat get another WrestleMania moment. I would definitely agree on that one. Charlie says Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, come on, guys. You could do better than that. Angle versus Shawn Michaels. I mean, that was awesome. That match was unbelievable. So, I mean, that one is definitely... I wouldn't say that's a forgotten match. I'm looking for forgotten moments, like something that people never talk about, but it's something that really deserves more recognition. We've had 33 years of WrestleMania history, and a lot of things get lost in the shuffle. Ryan says Rock and Sock versus Evolution. To me, that match was really disappointing. I mean, with all the hype for The Rock coming back, I felt that could have been so much better. I just feel like it didn't really live up to expectations. So I would disagree on that one. Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund doing the Gimmick Battle Royal. The Gimmick Battle Royal, I really liked that concept, and I'm sad WWE hasn't brought that back. I mean, I thought it was very cool to see all the old legends coming out for one more match, and I wish WWE would do that again, do another Gimmick Battle Royal, and bring back some of the old timers. I'm a big fan of bringing back the old guys for one more feel-good, nostalgic pop. I've always liked that. That's something I enjoyed about the Royal Rumble. So, of course, WWE doesn't do anything this year. To me, it's so easy to get a pop like that, to have the old legends come back. And I think the fans like it. And I'm just surprised that WWE doesn't do it more often. Chris Benoit's WrestleMania victory. I mean, obviously, because of the circumstances, that one doesn't get mentioned. But, I mean, that was one of the all-time great WrestleMania moments, when you had Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero celebrating at the end. I mean, yeah, like Walter said, buried because they had to bury it due to Benoit. Rick says Piper's Pit with Morton Downey Jr. That segment bombed so badly before the live crowd. I mean, it was funny to see Piper bringing out the fire extinguisher, but I mean, like, the crowd was completely dead for that segment. So I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Brett versus Austin in 97. I mean, to me, that's the greatest match in WrestleMania history. I wouldn't say that one's really forgotten. I mean, I plug the crap out of that match anytime I can. Looking at some of these other comments here. Matt Hardy versus Jeff Hardy. To me, that WrestleMania match was disappointing. I felt the match they had the next month at Extreme Rules was a more memorable match when it was the I Quit match and Jeff tied up Matt on the table and then was going to do the swanton from the top rope and Matt finally quit. I felt their rematch was better. And that seems to happen a lot. Like, there's a WrestleMania match, it's just a decent match, and then the next month when they have the rematch, it's actually way better than the WrestleMania match. That has happened a lot of times in WWE history. David, why are you mentioning Rocker Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair in late 91? I'm talking about WrestleMania, not something at the end of the year. David, I think you're smoking a little bit too early today. Just saying. Arian says Roddy Piper's WrestleMania 21 segment. Yes, that was a great segment. You know, WrestleMania 21, up until the last 3 matches, in my opinion, was one of the best WrestleManias ever. And, you know, when Austin and Piper were slapping each other back and forth, that was another great segment. That and Hogan making the save for Eugene, to me, were really cool WrestleMania moments that really don't get enough recognition. Jared says Kane versus Kurt Angle is very underrated. I don't really remember that match that well, but I will take your word for it because it's Kurt Angle, and it's hard for Kurt Angle to have a bad match. You know, pretty much anything that involved Benoit, you know, gets forgotten about. You know, Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania is another one. Edge versus Booker T. No, that match was built. I remember the build-up being over a shampoo commercial. So to me, that is best being forgotten about. Todd says the Hogan botch calling it the Silverdome. I still remember that one. That one is fresh in my memory. Salvatore says JBL versus Finlay. Again, I don't remember that one, so since it's JBL, I'm not going to take your word for it. I'll just leave it at that. What would you guys say is the most underrated Money in the Bank match? I mean, one suggestion here is WrestleMania 24. I remember John Morrison taking some crazy risks, and Shelton Benjamin as well. And then, of course, Matt Hardy coming out and attacking MVP. I thought that was a pretty good one. I would say that might be the most entertaining Money in the Bank match that people don't remember. I think people remember the first one and then the one that RVD won. And, you know, I think the 2008 one gets forgotten about a little bit. I think that was a pretty good one. Aaron says the second one with RVD's win. I mean, to me, that was one of the best ones. But I still think the first one was the best. Shelton Benjamin running up the ladder. That was one of the coolest spots. But again, because Chris Benoit was there at the end, you know, they have to be real careful when they show the replay footage. They just show Edge winning, but they don't show how he won because it involves showing Chris Benoit. So let's move along here and talk about some other topics. Anything you guys would like me to discuss about WWE heading into Fastlane? I mean, I'm going to be doing the predictions video in a few days with hopefully Jeff Meacham, David Payne, maybe Greg Cherry. We're possibly considering doing the 4-person panel again, but the last video did not get a lot of positive feedback. Anything else you guys would like me to discuss about Raw or SmackDown or the upcoming Fastlane pay-per-view? Lots of Chris Benoit comments in the chat right now. Mike says they took out the Benoit entrance from WrestleMania. Did they? Aaron wants me to talk about the botch at the end with Harper and Styles. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed with that. I mean, I was disappointed with the whole booking of that match. I mean, yeah, I get they're trying to drag it out longer, and on paper, I guess it sounds like a cool idea to have the draw where both guys hit the floor at the same time. The problem is it's a very risky spot, and there's not much room for error. And in this case, you had AJ Styles clearly hitting the floor first, and then WWE just had to pretend like it was a toss-up and both guys hit at the same time. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. Mike says shave the hipster beard. I got to come up with a new bet for WrestleMania if I'm going to shave off the beard. We'll see. I mean, it's very cold here in Portland. It was actually snowing a few minutes ago, so I got to keep warm. That's why I have the beard. You know, it's the winter beard. So when it warms up, maybe I'll do a WrestleMania bet or something. Salvatore says it wasn't a botch. Well, it sure looked like a botch to me. I mean, they were playing it up like both guys hit the floor at the same time, and there was no instant replay shown. So, you know, if both guys hit the floor at the same time, you know, WWE would have done the thing where they showed the replay like 5 or 6 times, and, you know, like they did in 95 and in 2005, and not 95, 94, excuse me. 95, they did show all the replays with Shawn with the 1 foot hitting, but 94 is when they showed Brett and Luger going over the top at the same time. Shut up, David. Just stop. Jericho versus Owens for the U.S. title. I mean, that is the obvious direction. I mean, Chris Jericho's got the U.S. title. You would think the U.S. title is going to be defended at WrestleMania. I would be shocked if Goldberg doesn't win the title at Fastlane, and then it goes on to be Jericho defending the U.S. title against Owens. Owens wins the U.S. title. Jericho takes his break and then comes back at some point. That's at least what I'm expecting. You know, we could always have the big swerve, but that seems to be the clear direction. Strike Force for the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, come on now. Strike Force, that's pushing it just a little bit. Strike Force, yeah, they had a decent run, but Hall of Fame material, I mean, give me a break. They changed the camera angle in the YouTube video so it didn't look like a botch. I did not see that, but I will take your word for that. Jericho costs Owens at Fastlane. That's a possibility. I mean, one would think that either Jericho or Brock Lesnar will play a role in the outcome of that match. I would expect something like that to happen. Samoa Joe helping KO. I could also see that. I mean, I think that's less likely, but, you know, that is definitely a possibility. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about Joe and Owens and Triple H forming a new faction. Maybe a new evolution. Never say never. I actually like that idea. Rather than just doing yet another rehash of the Authority, maybe actually doing a new evolution faction. Do you see Goldberg squashing Owens like he did Brock? No, I think that match will go on a little bit longer, and I think Owens will put up a fight. I think it'll be between 5 and 10 minutes. It's not going to be a long match, but I expect, you know, maybe Owens will jump Goldberg or cheat in some fashion to gain an advantage, and you know, it will appear like Goldberg's in trouble, but Goldberg will make his comeback, and then we might have the outside interference. But I expect it's going to be more than a squash match. I hope so, at least. I mean, there's a lot of different ways WWE can do it to protect Goldberg. Maybe have Owens jump him from behind or something. Benoit's not going in the Hall of Fame, buddy. If not Triple H, who do you think Joe will face at WrestleMania? I don't think it's going to be Triple H. I mean, I'm expecting it to be Rollins. I mean, maybe Joe versus Balor. If Balor comes back before WrestleMania, he's going to need a big match at WrestleMania, so maybe it'll be Samoa Joe. Both of them would need a spot for WrestleMania, and that would seem to make sense. Current thoughts on the state of NXT. To me, it's the least interesting it's been in years. I mean, I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that all the most talented guys got called up, and there's still some guys that I'm waiting on, you know, Bobby Roode, Nakamura, but, you know, beyond that, there's not a lot of other guys, and I guess the Revival too, and Asuka, but beyond that, they don't have a lot of talent in NXT that would really succeed on the main roster besides the people I just mentioned. So yeah, it does feel like NXT has cooled off a bit. Maybe they'll sign some new indie talent, and NXT can gain some momentum. It just feels like they have lost some of the momentum. Who should? Oh, I missed that one. Somebody asked me about Shaq. I mean, I think a lot of people are not excited about the idea of Shaq versus Big Show. So if it doesn't happen, to me that's not a big deal. I mean, I could see Big Show just being thrown in the Andre Battle Royal if the Shaq match doesn't happen. And, you know, whatever. I mean, it wasn't going to be much of a match. It probably would have been like a 5-minute match. So it's not like it was going to take up much WrestleMania time. But I think they should have done it a long time ago. Jared says, what is your prediction for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal? I think Strowman. I agree with you. I think Strowman is the most likely candidate to win unless you have somebody like Dean Ambrose in the match. Which Ambrose should be defending the IC title. I mean, I'm guessing it's Ambrose versus Baron Corbin. So, you know, one would think Strowman's going to be the biggest name. And like I've said in the Q&A videos, if Strowman's losing to Roman at Fastlane, which I'm expecting at this point, then that opens the door for Strowman to win the Battle Royal, to regain his momentum, to get some heat back after losing to Roman. To me, that makes the most sense. Can you see The Miz and Maurice going over Cena and Nikki at WrestleMania? No, I think that it's a pretty safe bet to go with John Cena and Nikki, especially if Nikki's taking time off or even possibly retiring. There's a lot of different rumors out there, but yeah, I don't see Cena losing at WrestleMania. The fact that he's moving down the card a little bit to face The Miz and Maurice, they're not going to have Cena lose a mid-card match at WrestleMania. Just don't see that happening. Michael says, your thoughts on Baron Corbin? I've said my thoughts on him. I think he has some potential. I think he's missing something. When he's been appearing on Talking Smack, I don't think his promos are really great. And I think he's lacking a little bit in the charisma department. But, he's good in the ring. He's got the size. I'm not a huge fan of the look. I think the receding hairline's not doing him any favors, although I'm one to talk. I just feel maybe he needs to shave his head or change up his look a little bit. But I do feel the guy has some potential. But I think maybe people are jumping the gun a little bit on him, thinking he's going to be the next big thing in WWE. I still haven't seen that yet. That's just my take on him. Do you think The Rock will headline next year's Hall of Fame class? The Rock will always be available when they need him. So I don't think there's any rush to induct him. But if they need a headliner, they will induct The Rock. But I don't think it's going to be something that's going to happen necessarily in the next year or two. Your thoughts on Kelly returning? Not necessary. Totally unnecessary. I always thought she was okay. I never thought she was anything special. So why they're bringing her back, I don't see the need. I really don't. I think they should just focus on calling up Asuka and focusing on the women they already have. To me, it's just very unnecessary. What do you think of Kevin Owens attacking Jericho at a house show in Germany? Well, I'm hopeful WWE will show this on television. If they just shot it at the house show and they don't air it on television, then I really don't see the point. But I do like the fact, if they do show it on television, showing fans watching Raw that, hey, things can happen at house shows and you never know what you might miss if you do not attend a house show. Do you like snow? I like looking at it. I don't like having to drive in it. Will The Rock wrestle again? I would say there's a decent chance. It's all about timing. If the right opponent comes along and The Rock's schedule is open, I could definitely see it happening. But again, it's just a timing issue. Who do you think will be the next WWE big signing? Possibly the Hardys. There's been a lot of speculation about the Hardy Boys with their TNA contracts being up. And there's also, a lot of speculation, the fact that the Hardy Boys, or should I say specifically Matt Hardy's online store, is closing. Now, Rebby Sky mentioned on Twitter that she's really busy raising the kids and, building the family, and she doesn't have time to keep the website up. But the thing is, wouldn't it be easy to just hire somebody else? Why just close the shop? That's the thing that's a little bit suspicious. They're closing the shop. When they could just hire somebody else, makes you think, well, if Matt Hardy's going back to WWE, WWE is going to be doing all of his merchandising. So it's very interesting. I would think WWE would do whatever it takes to bring back Matt and Jeff. Matt and Jeff have arguably been the hottest thing. I would say definitely they've been the hottest thing about TNA over the past year. You would think WWE would want to do anything to kill whatever little momentum TNA has by bringing back the Hardys, and they did bring back the Dudleys, and the Hardys, I would say, were bigger stars than the Dudleys. If I was WWE, I would do whatever it takes to sign up the Hardys. They're hot on the indies. The Delete thing has given Matt Hardy's career a new lease on life. Now's the time. The timing is right to bring back the Hardy Boys. Thoughts on Tom Phillips and that whole thing. On one hand, his personal life is his personal life, and it sucks that that his personal life is being made public in this fashion. But at the same time, you know, if the accusations are true and he's messing around with another woman when he's engaged, I mean, that really sucks. I mean, it shouldn't affect his job. I mean, I would not fire him because of that, or even punish him. It just, you know, him being a crappy husband to be doesn't really interfere with his job. So yeah, it sucks if it's true, but on the other hand, I don't think WWE should punish him for it. You know, it's his personal life, and he's going to have to handle the situation in his own personal life. As long as it doesn't affect his ability to do his job, then I don't see the need by WWE to punish him in any way. Greg says, will Jeff Jarrett go into the WWE Hall of Fame? Probably not. I would be really surprised if that ever happens. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Thank you so much for tuning in to NoDQ Live. I appreciate the live viewership. We had over 60 people watching live. If you missed part of it, the on-demand version will be up on NoDQ's YouTube channel and NoDQ.com, of course. Subscribe at youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ, and I will see you guys next time.